Did you negotiate your pay for the role that you've got right now? Or have you been working at higher duties for a while now with no extra pay? Has it been ages since you got a pay rise beyond the CPI increase? Because if any of these sound like you're certainly not alone. Women in Australia are 4 times less likely to negotiate their pay. And over a career, it can cost you up to $500,000. $500,000. What could you do with that amount of money? I'll tell you what, I've got a few ideas. So today I want to share with you the 4 strategies to nail your pay negotiations, including some emails that you can send directly to your boss and bonus tips for some really powerful female leaders that are having these conversations with their team members daily. The number 1 strategy for nailing your pay negotiations: be objective. Be willing to sit with your objective thoughts, not just subjective thoughts, which sometimes come from places that aren't very helpful, like social conditioning, which might sound something like verbally or even in your head, nice women don't talk about money. Well, that old crap serves everybody but women, okay? Stereotypes lead to subjective thinking too. People might think I'm aggressive if I ask for a raise. Aggression is behavior. It's the way that you may or may not choose to have the conversation. Aggression is not a subject or a topic. And of course, good old unconscious bias, our own and also others. And it might sound like it's unfeminine to ask for more. And unfortunately, because so many women buy into that, other people are also less likely to expect females to ask for pay rises. So if you're not having these conversations, then nobody is out there pushing the boundaries of these toxic, undermined, irrelevant unconscious bias. Now we know the thoughts that may pop up for us. Let's focus on how to not be held hostage by them. To help you be more objective. I always find it's really helpful to think about, what would I say to a friend if I was helping her make a decision on having pay discussions about a new job or asking for a pay rise in her current role, or even flexibility in hours or longer holidays. Now here's some questions that'll really get your creative juices flowing. What's the difference between what happened with your last salary increase and now? Have you been offered any jobs and what were the numbers? Always make sure you ask. Is the business more profitable? How specifically have you improved in your job? How's your current role expanded with new responsibilities? Have others that have similar jobs to you been rewarded? Are there other businesses in your industry paying more? Has the market changed? Now, these questions are going to help you with your objective thinking, and they're going to arm you with the data that you need to know to make a decision about going ahead with your salary conversations. Number 2 strategy for nailing your pay negotiations: preparation, preparation, preparation. Your boss isn't a mind reader. So many bosses are not focused on your salary or your career progression. Now, conversely, Samantha Ree, who's a dynamic and super focused client of mine, she's the general manager of Nationwide Towing and Transport at Nationwide Group. Sam believes it's a manager's job to be prompting these conversations with your team members so they don't have to. But not all managers are like Sam, unfortunately. So if your manager isn't having these conversations with you, you need to see it as your responsibility, whether you like it or not. You need to be accountable for having these conversations. If you want more pay, a promotion, flexibility, opportunities, anything, make sure the right people know about it. You might think the entire world can clearly see how ambitious you are, but they're not going to be able to read your mind. A coaching client of mine was very clear that she wanted to be in the C-suite within 3 years. Now, I was coaching her to make that happen, but when we talked about her ambitions, she had never actually talked about it in her workplace as such. But she had absolutely no doubt whatsoever that all of her bosses were super clear on exactly where she wanted to be. So through our conversations, she decided that she'd arrange a meeting with the C-suite. She spoke to them all individually to get feedback on her personal brand and also to share her ambitions. Now, very surprising to her, what she found was that none of them had actually had any idea that she was interested in the C-suite in the future, even though she was clearly a go-getter. And even one executive said to her that because she'd recently been married, he'd thought that she wasn't even interested in going further in the business, and she'd been taken off his internal radar for all future opportunities. Unconscious bias, anyone? Even though she had to do some pretty serious managing her emotions in that conversation, I'm sure, she was actually really happy that she'd stopped assuming that everyone knew her thoughts and that she'd taken the opportunity to set the record straight. So let me ask you a question. Who needs to know what you want and need in your career? Also, while we're talking about preparation, think about doing some research. There's plenty of websites that will help you find what the pay range is in your area and your industry. And that's going to be really, really helpful when speaking about what's going on in the market in your conversation. Talk to people in roles such as yours, colleagues, look online. As I mentioned, there's plenty of websites focused on the specific data for your industry. But how would this even sound in a pay negotiations conversation? Based on the research that I've done, which includes looking at the averages for my job in this area and considering my tenure here, my years of experience and my skill set, a salary increase of X is appropriate. What about that? Strategy number 3 for nailing your pay negotiation. Timing is the key. To start with, be there long enough to have created an impact. 3 months isn't really generally long enough. Think about your boss's workload and what the business cycles are. Are there specific times of the year that your business generally has these conversations? For example, it's quite often, not always, but quite often performance review time. Think about what's happening in the world as well, but I will say, never assume, because there's a global pandemic at the moment, doesn't mean not to ask. Look at your organization and the numbers. I've had 4 clients that have had pay rises in the last 12 months. Contact your boss by sending them an email beforehand and check the timing, and also let them know that this conversation's coming. Might sound like, I'm looking forward to my performance review next week and I'd really like to spend some time talking about my salary during our meeting. Or what about emailing? I'd like to set a short meeting to talk about my salary. Are you open to that at the moment? Let me know and I'll set some times up. Number 4, strategy for nailing your pay negotiations. Direct your focus. Focus on the results, not the effort or your personal reasons for getting a pay rise. People do often talk about how hard they're working, their effort, like they feel that justifies the ask. But honestly, you're already paid to work hard. So let me ask you, for what end are you working hard? What's the specific result of all of this hard work that you're doing? Other people go into salary conversations talking about the reasons behind wanting a pay rise, like their rent's gone up or the kids are going to private school. But businesses pay based on performance and outcome, not what's happening in your personal life or how hard you're working. Focus on your achievements and your outcomes. And this will be made heaps easier if you've got a section in your diary, or maybe you set up a fab file with your name on it. Mine's called the Fab Joe file, where I pop all of my accomplishments, my wins, my testimonials inside, written, or sometimes I even write down the verbal ones. I pop them in there throughout the year and I make a real habit of it, because it's so easy to forget what you've achieved, isn't it? Once you've completed a project and moved on. This keeps it all in the one place and it's so much easier to find later. These achievements are going to make your argument more compelling when you're asking for an increase in your current role. And it also serves as objective evidence. Now, it might sound something like, in the time since my last salary adjustment, I've worked on several programs which have added significant value to the company. For example, in the last few months I have, insert your most impressive accomplishment briefly there, and these accomplishments have made me ready for a raise. How does that sound? And another thing to keep in mind is my Energy Ball client, Christy Batista, says, now she is the CTO of Global and GM Australia of Illume Energy. She says, if you can't or you're unwilling to negotiate for yourself, do you think a business is going to want you negotiating for them in a role with potential clients, projects, or even their team? These conversations are going to impact your brand in the right way. It's worth thinking about, isn't it? So well done. Honestly though, whatever the outcome, you've had the conversation. Be really proud of yourself. You're a courageous role model and the business is going to see you in a new light because you've been willing to have that tough conversation. So grab your diary now and lock in a pay negotiation conversation with your manager and let me know how you go in the comments below. Now you've made it this far in my video. Thank you and well done. I want you to go now and watch the next video where I teach you what I wish I'd known about getting a pay rise. It's where I take you through exactly why you need to be negotiating your pay for yourself, your family, and other women, because you are a powerful role model and don't you dare forget it.